What's going on in your head this week?
What's in my head? We always try and pick something that's kind of rattled us or made us think a little bit, and I like to read things that make us think. This is a strange one, Matt. I don't want you to think I'm some kind of pervert or something, but I saw this article. It was just it caught my eye. Uh, I don't know why it just did. It's called 17 Euphemisms for Sex from the 1800s. Let me just read a few of these for you. First, I was surprised that people actually had sex in the 1800s because I thought that they didn't, but evidently they did.
Yeah.
But here are some of the things that the common language used to describe sex. The most popular one, and I guess if you were alive in the 1800s, the most discreet way to say that was that somebody was having an amorous congress. So, an amorous congress. That was you could probably say if you were preaching, you could and you were preaching on sex. Say you were Ed Young, like in the 1800s, you'd have the word amorous congress probably in a big banner behind your pulpit
On top of the roof.
Yeah.
In bed on top of the roof, and you know.
Yeah. But here's some of the other ones, and I quite honestly hadn't heard of any of these. That's kind of why it intrigued me. They called it basket making. They called it bread and butter. They called it a brush, which you still hear that every once in a while. Yeah, we had a brush. We had a brush once, but that back in the 1800s, that was talking about sex. Today, I would think that would be talking about more of maybe a little conflict or a confrontation type thing. Face making. Blow the gonsels. And probably if I was in the 1800s, I'd be swearing a blue streak right now. I don't know. My favorite one is it's called a blanket hornpipe. I have no idea. You've got take a flyer, green gown, lobster kettle. Here's another one of my favorites if I can find it. Number 13 out of 17 is called melting moments, and it's described as those moments shared by a fat man and woman in amorous congress.
That's a visual.
Yes. Can't unsee that, can you?
No.
But here's why this is in my head. This really isn't in my head, but I don't know if you've been noticing, but there's a certain word for sex that's been becoming a lot more prevalent in our media and our society. Yeah, you don't know what that is, but are you really that baffled? Okay.
There's a bunch of them. I'm trying to figure out which one you're referring to.
Well, I'm talking about the F word.
Oh, okay.
It's like there are like 3 songs on the pop list in the past 6 months that have actually had the F word in the title. It's being routinely used on TV, even prime time during the family hour stuff where they'll bleep it, but you know exactly what they're saying.
Yeah.
And it's just becoming a lot more commonplace. Here's what's in my head, and I realize I'm taking a long time to say this, but I get really upset at that, but I'm wondering how much of this is just totally cultural, because it could have been that the blanket hornpipe was the F word in the 1800s, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's always been words for it that have been kind of taboo or wrong in culture, and I'm not being a proponent that we use those words for it. I'm just saying that I don't think this is anything new. Mm-hmm. It's just another word that I grew up with that was totally, absolutely offensive, that unfortunately, because of the culture, my kids don't find it nearly as offensive as I do. Because it's just commonplace at their school. It's commonplace in any kind of media or movies or anything. It makes me flinch every time I hear it, and they don't even notice it. Which to me is a big deal, but when I read stuff like this, I kind of, not to condone, but I think, somebody might be, this list might be written today, and somebody in a couple hundred years is going to be reading it and see the F word and think, what's that mean? That's just a stupid word. They actually said that. So I don't know. That might have better fit up in the stupid area, but anyway.
No, I think you're onto something. I always looked at like Blazing Saddles, which was rated R back in the day, and to see that now and think that was an R-rated movie, that tells you a great deal about how that's going. So
and I'm not condoning the culture and the way the culture's going at all. All I'm saying is this is in many ways I just it's new to us because we're living it, but across the broad span of time, there's not really, like Solomon said, there's not really anything new under the sun.
Yeah. Cool. So. Well, my what's been bouncing around in my head, I saw a movie early this week, late last week, called Euro Dreams of Sushi. And it's an hour and 20-minute long documentary about the guy that's known as the best sushi chef on the face of the planet. He he's got 3 Michelin stars, and I think he's the only sushi chef that has that. He's got this little 10-seat restaurant in the basement of a building that's connected off to the Ginza subway stop in Tokyo. For close to $400 a meal, you get to spend 30 minutes there eating sushi, and then he sends you on your way.
For how much money? How much money?
$400 a meal.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, you can swing that, and it's 20 pieces of sushi and an order and all that kind of stuff. Well, it's a fascinating story, but what really just kind of rung my bell on this was this dude is like 80 something, and for 75 years he's been making sushi.
Wow,
75 years. I mean, it's odd when we see somebody in the same job for 10 years now.
Yeah, anymore. Yeah.
Shoot, I've got friends who 6 months is a long stretch, but man, one thing for 75 years, and what really kind of just shook me on this was the idea that this dude still wakes up in the middle of the night dreaming about sushi and different ways to make it better and create something that's even better. And I just, what I've been thinking, and I wrote about this on my blog, is the whole idea of, what's waking me up in the middle of the night? What's waking? I mean, as pastors, as church leaders, we're always supposed to talk about how, my desire to see people meet Jesus, is that really what's waking us up at night? Or, is there another passion, or is there something else going on? I mean, that's just, Euro really rocked me this week. So. Cool.
That's cool for somebody to be able to have that same kind of passion over fish.
Yeah.
It brings a little perspective to where we're at. Well, that's a little heavier than my 1800 euphemisms for sex.
Yeah, well, that's me. I've been doom and gloom all week, so.